everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm just going to kind of have a little ramble through my reading highlights of the year. It's not going to be very structured, it's not going to be very long either because my first half of 2021 was not the most diverse my reading. So, you know, I don't want to kind of pad things out with any kind of long-winded reads that kind of I'm putting in for the sake of it, so I think I'm just going to kind of go through them in terms of what I feel deserves to be mentioned in any random format that is going to be completely unorganised and messy, so if you're okay with that, bear with me, and yeah, I will get into the video. So the first book I really want to mention, which I think is probably my favourite novel that I've read this year, is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste. So I had heard really good things about this, but it definitely wasn't something that I was expecting to enjoy, because, well, I'm not going to say I wasn't expecting to enjoy it, but it's not the kind of book I would normally go for, but I loved it. It was funny, but it also had some really, really thought-provoking undertones that became increasingly prevalent throughout it, and yeah, I think it's probably one of my favourite books. It's definitely up there in my kind of top 10 of all time, so I would definitely recommend checking this out if you have been considering it. So I'd say the next book that I'm going to mention is more on the classics side of things, and that is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. So I've only really got into classics the kind of past like couple of years or so. I think it's such a tricky thing to get into, because if you try and read them before you're ready, you just end up hating them because they are a bit long-winded, and you know, the writing style is very, very different and not the easiest to read when you're not used to it. But I really think that Shelley's style is quite accessible, even like for its period that it was written in, and again, some really thought-provoking questions, and I loved it. I really kind of like the gothic elements because I'm a big fan of kind of the gothic. And I did look at this in university as well, which was quite interesting. So, and the fact it's quite nice to look at something and not actually hate it by the end of studying it. So I think that is definitely a testament to the book itself. So the next book is a bit of a strange one, but one I would definitely recommend checking out if you have a chance, and that is One Left by Kim Soon. So this is, it's fiction, but it's very kind of heavily researched and based on real events. So it's about the kind of the comfort woman issue in Korea during the Second World War, and although it kind of follows a fictional figure, it very much, throughout the book there's just tons and tons of footnotes at the end of the kind of each paragraph to kind of indicate that everything that's kind of being said, although may not have happened in the specific way and context, did happen. So it's kind of mixing in the fiction with the reality, and it's a really powerful way of telling this really horrific story. I've never read anything like it. It is a Korean translation. I thought the translation was phenomenal as well, because, you know, it's really hard to translate books and kind of translate them effectively and meaningfully and still carry the original meaning, and I thought this did it really well. It's definitely something I would recommend checking out, and something that really should be kind of talked about a little bit more. But yeah, no, I would definitely recommend this to anyone who is interested, especially if you do have any kind of interest in Korea. It's something that shouldn't be missed. Okay, so the next book, well, series, I suppose, really, was the Poppy War series, and in particular, my favourite in the series was the Burning God. So, from what I've seen, the Poppy War, people seem to either love it or hate it. I understand why it's not for everyone. I think especially the first book in the series, the Poppy War, the writing isn't as strong as it is in the Burning God, but for me, that didn't detract from it. There's also, if you do want to check it out, please check the trigger warnings, because it is there's a lot of them, and I would hate for anyone to go into this expecting a nice kind of fun fantasy when it's definitely it's not a nice fun fantasy. It's quite brutal, and there are definitely some very, very, very triggering scenes throughout the series. But I don't know what it was about this. I think it was just so different. Like, I know some of the criticisms it's had is that it kind of, the character development's not very big, but I think for me that was kind of part of it, because everything's very surface level, because realistically it's not focusing so much on the people, it's focusing on the events and the events that shape the people, and all you see is the kind of the way that these events impact the people and their actions and their mentality. And the way with Rin is a very problematic person, but then I think I would be too if I'd gone through everything that she had. And I suppose the problem is that because you only really get Rin's side of things, it does kind of like give you quite an extreme view of everything. But then it's kind of your job as a reader to kind of be like, no, that's wrong, you know. And yeah, I was blown away by the whole series. I cried so much at the end. Anyone else who has any thoughts on this, positive or negative, please let me know in the comments below, because as I say, I really enjoyed it. I know some people haven't, and you know, it would be interesting to kind of get both sides of the argument, but it's very, very, very heavily grounded in Chinese history, and I actually did quite a bit of research into some of the events that this is based on, kind of following on from reading this, so that is definitely a positive as well. Particularly around the kind of Sino-Japanese War, which is very prevalent in the first book, The Poppy War. So yeah, I would, if fantasy is a genre that you're interested in, check the trigger warnings, but I would, if it all kind of seems okay, I would definitely check this series out, because I think this is currently my favourite series. Stuff, I think, maybe. I'll probably do that at some point next year, my top series, but I think at the moment this does hold the top spot for me. So the last book I really want to talk about is also a series. One I've not finished yet, but I am halfway through the second book at the moment, and so far I am absolutely blown away. One, I'm very ashamed that I haven't read yet, because it was very, very, very popular when I was in school, and that is The Hunger Games. So I'm going to talk about this a lot more in my kind of December reading wrap-up video, but I kind of skipped over The Hunger Games when I was in school, I think because I was one of those people, I was too edgy for the hype, and that is my loss, because it's beautiful. I'm not normally a big fan of first person, but it works really, 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 really well in this, and I think Suzanne Collins is amazing at the way she kind of builds the world and the way she builds the characters, and it's interesting because I think Katniss is the kind of character in another YA book that would really annoy me, but the way that she's written and the way she's come, because you're very much in her head, it all makes sense. I feel like Katniss is the character that so many YA girls try to be, but they haven't got the context to support them being the way that they are, and it just comes off as them being quite bratty. But I think with Katniss, I love her. I love it all. I love Peter. It's phenomenal, and I'm currently halfway through Catching Fire, which I will talk more about kind of, again, hopefully at the end of the month, because I will hopefully have finished it by then. But I cannot wait to finish the rest of the series. I'll probably get around to Mockingjay in the new year, and then I can give my thoughts on the whole thing as a whole. But for the first book, absolutely blown away, and if anyone else was like me and was an edgy child in school and didn't like to read popular stuff, you're missing out. Please go give it a go. And yeah, that is everything, I think. As I say, I've still got my December kind of reading wrap up to do, and then in the new year I'll kind of go through my priority to be reads. And yeah, so everyone, I said yeah so many times, it's absolutely, it's becoming my new like, but you know, we like a bit of variety, not gonna moan about it. So everyone, I hope you all have a really good Christmas. I can't believe how quickly this year has gone. It's absolutely insane. It seems like only last year that it was, well, it was only last year, but it seems it's absolutely flown by. And thank you everyone for sticking with me in my little rambles about my books, and please tell me what your favourite books were of the year, and I will definitely try and have a look through and see if any that I've read and that I like, or that I want to give a go. Because as always, I love to hear your thoughts too. And also, if there's any of these books that you guys have read, please let me know your thoughts on those as well, because, you know, start a conversation. Open up the discourse. That's what we're all about here. Safe space for book rambles. I can't even call it book talks, it is just book rambles at this point. But yeah, happy Christmas and happy New Year if I don't see you before then. Who knows? With me, my schedule is so unpredictable. Who knows? But yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and bye.